This episode of KSTV is brought to you by Gem Creative, custom designs, printing, web designs, SEO, and more.
Happy days, everybody. We're back. This is Ron.
Yes. Hi, I'm Ron, and this is Kevin.
I am he.
Yes.
And we are they.
And we are here.
And for your listening and viewing enjoyment.
And this is moving into the summertime, so I am wearing a short sleeve shirt today.
As am I.
Well, moving into, we're probably almost out of. Who knows? This year has been such fun. It's time to get outside.
And you should be outside because you need that vitamin D from the sun to help keep your body running at full efficiency.
Did you see that tan I'm getting?
I'll tell you, I'm impressed.
Whoa, I'm so impressed. Yeah. It's a farmer's tan, of course.
Of course. Well, that's okay.
It's fine with me.
One tan is better than none.
That's right. You have to get outside to get tan, by the way.
I'm
read bringing us back to that thought.
Right. Well, and speaking of being outside, that's a very good segue.
Well, thank you.
My wife and I had the pleasure of being in Banff quite recently, and there's lots of footpaths and there's lots of places to walk and run and ride.
Beautiful, yeah.
And I was amazed at some of the etiquette or lack of that people displayed. I mean, they say that it has been said that if you're bicycling behind somebody, ring your bell, just say, hey, coming up on the left, whatever.
Yeah.
So you can let them know that you're coming by.
Exactly.
On the other hand, there are some walkers or runners who wear the ear pads.
The whole head, and some of them, just full on.
And they can't hear you.
Yep, exactly.
So what's the solution? Is there a solution?
More really bad music so nobody listens. And the podcasts have to get worse. Not ours, of
Not
course.
us. No.
But then nobody would wear headphones. Nobody would wear.
But you know what? You're out in nature enjoying all of its splendor and glory. Why are you listening to Metallica or whatever?
Boy, you're okay. Well, Metallica, yes, that's what we should all be listening to.
Well, I'm not saying you shouldn't listen to it. I'm just saying there's a time and a place.
Yes, exactly.
You could be listening to Lawrence Welk, and that's okay too.
Yeah. Or you could be listening to the wildlife.
Exactly my point.
Exactly. Instead of going to a zoo, just go to a walking trail,
yes.
Walk around, listen for the birds and the bees. And
listen for the bears and everything walking through.
Yeah, that's right. Banff would be a great place for that.
Well, we didn't see any bears. We had lots of elk, but that's okay.
Okay.
That's okay. Yeah. It's just that sometimes the people were kind of rude, and I thought, well, you know what? You're out here to enjoy yourself. Why are you being like that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have one of the most a very beautiful walking trail here.
Yes,
in
we
town.
do.
There's
Absolutely.
no question about it, and well worth the walk around.
It is,
but it can be rather scary if your distraction level gets out of place and someone's coming by or someone and all of a sudden you're saying, "Oh man, there goes a bike," or the biker says, "Oh, they just noticed I was here."
Right.
They jumped in front of me.
And whether it was done deliberately or not, it's going to be hard to prove.
Exactly.
But for both pedestrians and cyclists, please have a little more respect for each other.
Okay, so what rules would you say? Well, let's start with cyclists. How?
Well, I mean, if they are being road considerate, they should be at the very least shouting, "Hey, coming up on your left or your right or whatever it is."
And if they're coming towards them,
you can still do that as well. You betcha. Just let them know in case they're looking down at their phone instead of paying attention. And then if I don't see many bikes with bells or horns or anything.
But and they're helpful.
They are.
I mean, or if you can yell loud enough, that's fine.
Yes.
I think one of the ones that we don't talk much about, particularly for bikers, is if you're going 40 kilometers an hour or 50 kilometers an hour along a bike trail, which is possible.
It is on some.
It might not be your best idea to be approaching somebody at that speed.
There is that. There are some daredevilish type people who are trying to keep the boundaries really, really. Don't trust them. Just don't trust them.
So now I'm walking on the trail, and I love walking on the trail.
Yeah.
Sometimes keeping my head down to make sure that I'm not stepping on something or whatever.
Or in something.
But what? Very good point.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But here we are walking along. What are some of the etiquette things that I should be doing
As a pedestrian?
As a pedestrian, yeah.
You know, if you got bottled water, great. Don't throw your empty bottle into the bushes, or your candy wrapper, or your granola bar, or your trail mix wrapper, whatever.
Yes, exactly.
You know, just keep nature the way it was intended, because that's one thing I've noticed too. And wherever I've gone and I've done walking, and you see garbage in the trees or whatever, and I get really upset with that.
Yeah.
There's no need for that.
No, I don't think so.
To leave it as clean as you found it, at the very least.
Yeah. And I think if you've got headphones in, you know, maybe take one out, or get something that allows for
sound to go through.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
That would make the most sense.
Yeah.
But not everybody's got the most sense. I'm sorry, but it's true.
Yeah, it is true.
I kind of think we've talked this one to death.
Okay.
I think we should cycle out of here, or walk out of here. What
That's
do you
right.
think?
Common sense
says we should.
Yes,
we should wrap. So maybe they'll put a bike accident.
Yeah,
up
wouldn't
here
that be
or
great?
something.
And as we're trailing off,
We'll try. Okay.
thank you for coming and joining us.
See us next time.
News sponsored by Impact Energy Services. There when it matters most.
And in the news, the province expands coverage for CF medication. According to the Canadian Cystic Fibrosis Registry, there are more than 4,300 cystic fibrosis patients in Canada and over 110 patients in Saskatchewan. For patients ages 6 and older who meet the medical criteria, Saskatchewan has expanded its coverage for Trikafta. This is a cystic fibrosis medication. Trikafta targets specific genetic mutations that cause cystic fibrosis. This mutation affects approximately 90% of CF patients. The cost of Trikafta is approximately $300,000 per patient annually at list price before confidential rebates. CF patients, parents, or guardians of children with CF who think they may benefit from therapy with Trikafta are encouraged to speak with their physician. Walking trail etiquette. As we continue to enjoy the summer months, residents are reminded of trail etiquette between cyclists and those who are out walking. For cyclists, when approaching someone who is walking, use a bell or verbal warning to let that person know that you are approaching. Also, please remember to slow down when passing by and yield to pedestrians. For walkers, give the bicycles some space as they go by. And if you are listening to music or a podcast, try only using one headphone so you can still hear if someone calls out or rings their bell. Have fun at the trail and be sure to try out the new sections of the trail as they make for a nice change of scenery. And a reminder to stay safe on water during the summer. As the beautiful weather continues and many of us head to the lakes or rivers to cool off, using caution around open water is urged. Saskatchewan RCMP recently reported that between June 1st and July 16th, there were 8 reports of drowning. And while many of us enjoy a drink or two around the campfire, in 2020, 73% of drownings for young adults between the ages of 15 and 34 involved alcohol.
Hi, it's us again.
Yes.
I'm Kevin.
And I'm Ron.
And we are here for your viewing and your audio pleasure, I guess you could call it.
I was going to call it entertainment, but you know, it's not. Yeah, we'll let you write in and tell us how we're doing.
Yes, please, good or bad. We want to hear it all.
Yeah, some of it we want to hear, good or bad. Yes.
Yeah, well, it helps us to decide how we're going to work our next program.
We'd really like you to communicate with us. Tell us, you know, however you want to. You can beat the drums. You can yell and scream. You can put up banners. You sign. Which reminds me.
Yes.
Communication. People communicating with each other. I know that you've got stories that are going back to the beginning of time.
Well,
and I do want to hear them, so I'm going to try and be quiet.
But
not communicating.
Oh, you're good.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Well, you know, it just struck me that, you know, how communication has evolved since the caveman.
Yeah.
I guess initially with maybe gestures, maybe eye contact, maybe the hitting the club against a rock or a log or whatever.
Yeah,
and then it just somehow evolved into music, and then into whatever else. So where we are today, of course, with our cell phones, is kind of really amazing, technologically speaking. There's more information available today on your cell phone than there is probably in a 1950 Wall Street Journal. You know, everything's at your fingertips. How did communication go from there to there so quickly?
That's a very good question.
Because when you think about
Which
it,
I'm
it's
hoping
not,
you'll answer.
well, I'll do my best,
Okay,
but it's
go
not
for it.
really a lot of time on the evolutionary scale.
Right, yeah.
We've just seemed to progress much faster than we should maybe sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of thinking, well, how did it evolve? I don't know. We went from wagon trains, we went from the messenger on the horse,
Yeah.
now to today we have then they went to the telegraph,
Mm-hmm.
then the Morse code stuff, and
Yeah.
Western Union, I think, was the one that did that, the horseback rider.
Yeah. Well, Pony Express just
The
going
Pony Express, thank
across
you.
the
Yeah.
country.
So,
yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
how did we evolve? Why did we evolve? Did we get tired of riding horses?
Did we get tired of writing? Period.
Well, you know what?
And you know
Writing
what?
is a lost form of communication.
It except that people write constantly. In fact, I mean, if I get it right, people write more now than they ever have, because they're doing emails, they're doing this, they're doing texts, they're doing,
Right.
it's the writing is there. The question is the style of writing, the quality of writing, just what. Is it to-do lists only, or is there literary?
Well, even just writing a letter like we used to do,
Oh, yeah.
and posting it to Canada Post. I mean,
I
you go
can't
for a
afford
job,
to.
you go for a job interview, and when you're done, usually you would go home and you'd write a nice little thank you note. You'd put a stamp on it, address it, put it in the mail.
Yeah.
Now you get out to your vehicle and you email a thank you note. It doesn't seem to have as much effect
Yeah,
to me. Maybe I'm just old school. Maybe I'm just old.
yeah, that could be.
However, I still think it's important that you do and learn cursive writing.
Yeah.
That's not taught anymore. Mm-hmm. And that's
Very,
sad.
very true. And
That's sad.
and I've developed my own system of writing so I can write more quickly, but it's still cursive. You can still read it.
Right.
So that it communicates with people. I'm thankful for that. Communicates with me because I can look back to my journal of 30 years ago.
Yes.
And I keep a daily journal. I can actually read it. I wrote it out.
Right.
How many other people can? Okay, maybe if you find your electronic record, you could find something from 30 years ago. Whether you could actually boot it up on your machine, which we used to call it booting it up.
Yes.
And now we initialize it, and now we, all
We
however
download and we do this and
yeah.
we do that and we put it on the USB stick.
Yeah. How many people use USB sticks?
I don't know. I do.
Yeah. Do you?
Of course. I don't know what
Good
else to
for
do.
you.
Well.
I'm into the cloud.
Oh well,
Yeah.
I am to a degree, but not
Okay.
very much.
Yeah.
I leave that for those with more knowledge than me, right, and patience.
Okay, thank you. I'm feeling very good at this point. Very good.
So we're communicating then.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Yeah, this has been a true time of, just like communicating.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
you're talking and I'm listening.
No, I'm
and vice
listening and
versa.
you're talking.
Well, okay, whatever.
I mean, who knows what we're doing?
Well,
And that's part of. Have you ever noticed? Yesterday,
Okay.
I have this nice little note. Can you do da 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 da? I go to sleep thinking on it, and I wake up in the morning, and I say, I can do that.
Okay.
And then I say to myself, how did they send that to me? How did they communicate with me? Was it on Messenger? Was it a text? Was it on Slack? Was it? And I'm going through this list. You know how long it takes to find the message that used to just show up in the mail?
Yes.
And that was the only place you sort of got it. I think communication has evolved.
For the most part, I think for the better.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Although it has made us lazy, because I know some people use a lot of abbreviations
Yeah.
in their texting, and I don't like that. But I understand why they do it. I can't do that. I'm sorry. I'm old school on that one.
Yeah,
I can't. But old school and communication are important, and I think we've about communicated all we have to do on this
That's
subject.
right. It's getting old. So
It is cold.
The school's done.
School's done.
Thanks for-
School's out. Thanks, Teach.
Thanks for joining us.
Okay. Next time.
Events sponsored by Royal Flush, the company for septic services.
And in local events, a high school reunion. The graduating class of 2002, it's hard to believe, but your 20-year high school reunion will be here on September 24th, 2022. For more information, please contact Michelle for the details at 306-380-1326 or email michelleschwartz4@gmail.com. Meet the Teacher. Speaking of school, Elizabeth Middle School is holding a Meet the Teacher evening on August 29th from 6 to 7 p.m. This gives the kids a chance to see their classroom and meet their teacher. And last but not least, the Kindersley Clippers home opener. SJHL fans rejoice. The Kindersley Clippers home opener is Friday, September the 16th. Now in their 30th year competing in the SJHL, the Clippers will be taking on the Battleford North Stars for an evening of nail-biting action. Be sure to get your season tickets today. It's going to be a great season.
Hey Ron, how are you?
I'm doing well, Kevin.
Great.
For an old man.
Really? You're not old.
Well, okay, you're right. Thank you for mentioning that. I did want to say, though,
Yes.
over the years, I have seen many things. I've been many places.
Okay.
And one of the most interesting places that I've been are zoos over the years.
Zoos.
And
okay.
they have changed.
Yes, they have actually. I think the care of the animals has changed.
Yeah.
The roles of the activists have really, I think, been a major part of that.
Yeah.
And I think for good reason. I think a lot of animals were not looked after as well as they should have been, whether in the selection or capture process, so to speak, and towards the location where they're at. But yeah, you're right. The zoos have changed as well.
I know my son, going to high school, first time I had heard the word PETA, people for the ethical treatment of animals.
Yes.
Now, as a starting of a movement, I think it had all sorts of different approaches, and some of them pretty weird, to be quite honest. But nevertheless, bringing us back to the idea of a creation that was created to be good. Mm-hmm. And so why would you go out and mess things up with animals and with people? I mean, you can look at both sides.
Well, I guess there is, I think like anything else, money is a major contributor. Although, when you look at a zoo from a young person's point of view, it's great because you get to go see these animals in an enclosure, of course, without having to go into the wild to see them. Mm-hmm. Which is great because you get to learn about them firsthand without actually seeing them in the wild, which is a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. As you get older, though, then you kind of wonder and you think to yourself, is this a good thing?
Are they trapped, or are they cared for? And that's the big discussion that goes on about zoos.
Right.
And we could go on and on about a number of approaches and political issues and that type of thing that go with that. But at the same time, having encountered zoos as a kid and older, I love the opportunity to see something in person that I may have seen in a book, watched in a video, whatever. It seems to have been a way for me to begin to understand better the animal kingdom and the ethical treatment of animals. Believe it or not, here I'm going to a zoo and I'm learning how to be ethical. That just, for some people, they would say, whoa, how does that happen?
Oh, well, you're right. But to see a giraffe in person is still way cooler than seeing it on a TV screen.
Yeah.
I think so anyway.
Well, like I was mentioning, one of the greatest zoos around Kindersley is just over the highway. It's called a Gopher Zoo.
Okay.
And they're sort of trapped there because their holes are there. Oh. But they do get out. And have you had that opportunity to visit a Gopher Zoo lately? It's amazing.
Is that like Gopherville and Langenberg?
Yeah, that's the
one?
Yeah.
Well, I've heard West Edmonton Mall called a retail zoo. I mean, hey, we're all together and people are sitting on the benches watching everybody walk by with their drinks or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I think, I grew up with my kids in West Edmonton Mall. Oh. That is a zoo when you go to try and find your kids. I mean, talk about a zoo.
I can only imagine, yes.
Yeah.
Or you go into a crowded bar or crowded grocery store. It's a zoo. We use that term quite eloquently. Yeah. It's a zoo in here. I don't want to stay here. It's too busy.
Exactly. And I think to myself, what kind of zoo is this?
See,
look, we're evolving, we're learning. You're learning new things about us. You're watching us.
So that wasn't really a bad topic then to talk about tonight.
It wasn't. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I don't know what inspiration gave me to write that down.
I have no idea.
But I just thought, well, you know what? Let's talk about zoos and see where we go with it.
I agree. May the zoo be with you.
Good night.
Good night.
Sports, sponsored by the Tint Doctor. We've got you covered.
And in sports, the SJHL season is just around the corner. The Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League's 2022-23 regular season schedule will kick off with 5 games on opening night, Friday, September the 16th. This year's schedule will feature 56 games and include the SJHL Showcase Games, which will be held September 25th through the 28th in Warman, Saskatchewan. It is an exciting time for the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. Last season we had a full return to play, exciting playoffs, and one of the most memorable league championships in recent memory. We can't wait for the puck to drop on our upcoming season, shared the SJHL in their news release. And 2 upcoming hockey camps. From September 9th to the 11th, Marley Irvine will be instructing a female skills development camp available for U9 to U18. The weekend camp will include 4 on-ice sessions, 2 dryland sessions, and 1 goalie session. The camp fee is $165 and space is limited. Kindersley Minor Hockey is hosting a check-in clinic and an on-ice awareness camp on October 1st and 2nd with former NHLer Richie Regier as the instructor. The camp is open to all U13 and U18 players and will host a girls' session for body contact. The camp fee is $100 and, as always, space is limited. Please visit the Kindersley Minor Hockey Facebook page to sign up for either camp.
Hi, Ron. How are you?
I'm doing well, Kevin.
Great.
For an old man.
Really? You're not old.
Well, okay, you're right. Thank you for mentioning that. I did want to say, though,
Yes.
over the years, I have seen many things. I've been many places.
Okay.
And one of the most interesting places that I've been are zoos over the years.
Zoos.
And they
okay.
have changed.
Yes, they have actually. I think the care of the animals has changed.
Yeah.
The roles of the activists have really, I think, been a major part of that.
Yeah.
And I think for good reason. I think a lot of animals were not looked after as well as they should have been, whether in the selection or capture process, so to speak, and towards the location where they're at. But yeah, you're right. The zoos have changed as well.
I know my son, going to high school, first time I had heard the word PETA, people for the ethical treatment of animals.
Yes.
Now, as a starting of a movement, I think it had all sorts of different approaches, and some of them pretty weird, to be quite honest. But nevertheless, bringing us back to the idea of a creation that was created to be good. Mm-hmm. And so why would you go out and mess things up with animals and with people? I mean, you can look at both sides.
Well, I guess there is, I think like anything else, money is a major contributor. Although, when you look at a zoo from a young person's point of view, it's great because you get to go see these animals in an enclosure, of course, without having to go into the wild to see them. Mm-hmm. Which is great because you get to learn about them firsthand without actually seeing them in the wild, which is a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. As you get older, though, then you kind of wonder and you think to yourself, is this a good thing?
Are they trapped, or are they cared for? And that's the big discussion that goes on about zoos.
Right.
And we could go on and on about a number of approaches and political issues and that type of thing that go with that. But at the same time, having encountered zoos as a kid and older, I love the opportunity to see something in person that I may have seen in a book, watched in a video, whatever. It seems to have been a way for me to begin to understand better the animal kingdom and the ethical treatment of animals. Believe it or not, here I'm going to a zoo and I'm learning how to be ethical. For some people, they would say, "Whoa, how does that happen?"
Oh, well, you're right. But to see a giraffe in person is still way cooler than seeing it on a TV screen.
Yeah.
I think so anyway.
Well, like I was mentioning, one of the greatest zoos around Kindersley is just over the highway. It's called the Gopher Zoo.
Okay.
And they're sort of trapped there because their holes are there. Oh. But they do get out. And have you had that opportunity to visit a Gopher Zoo lately? It's amazing.
Is
what
that
you
like
see.
Gopherville and Langenberg?
Yeah, that's sort
That's
of
the
yeah,
one?
Yeah.
Well, you know, I've heard West Edmonton Mall called a retail zoo. I mean, hey, we're all together in a,
Yes,
and
isn't
people
that
are
great?
sitting on the benches watching everybody walk by with their drinks or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I think. Well, I grew up with my kids in West Edmonton Mall.
Oh.
That is a zoo when you go to try and find your kids. I mean, talk about a zoo.
I can only imagine, yes.
Yeah.
Or you go into a crowded bar or a crowded grocery store. It's a zoo. We use that term quite eloquently.
yeah,
It's a zoo in here. I don't want to stay here. It's too busy.
Exactly. And I think to myself, what kind of zoo is this? You know,
See?
Look, yeah, we're evolving. We're learning. You're learning new things about us. You're watching us.
So that wasn't really a bad topic then to talk about tonight.
It wasn't. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I don't know what inspiration gave me to write that down,
I have no idea.
but I just thought, well, you know what? Let's talk about zoos and see where we go with it.
I agree. May the zoo be with you.
Good night.
Good night.
Oh, good evening, everybody. Kevin Martin here with the Kindersley Social, and my special guest tonight is Mr. Dakota Butter. Good evening, Dakota. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I apologize for our technical snafu there. So, we were talking a little bit earlier about how you got into bull riding, and it seems like it's a crazy sport to be into.
Yeah, not a whole lot of people getting into it anymore. It's kind of a sport that's dying off a bit. But my dad rode bulls and horses and stuff, and my older sister rodeoed, so I grew up around it quite a bit and
Right.
got my interest in it through them.
So what age were you figure about that? About 10 or so? 12?
I got on my first steer when I was 8, but I was
Oh, wow.
going to rodeos with them when I was 5, 6 years old.
Wow, that's kind of cool. I don't know if
Yeah,
I'd have the guts to do that. My back would kill me. Thank you. You rode some pretty tough bulls in your time, you were saying, and you said you also got to pick your bull the odd time if you were in playoffs, whatever they want to call it.
Yeah, so at the PBR events, we have everybody gets on. It's called the long round. There'll be like 20 or 30 guys get on, and then the top 10 scores will come back for a short round, we call it. And a lot of the big PBRs, you get the top 10 coming back. There'll be 10 bulls sitting there. The leading guy coming in gets first pick, and then they go down the line. So at a lot of those, we get to pick our bulls, so we know them all pretty good.
Right. They've all got some individual habits or traits, I guess, that you kind of look for beforehand.
Yeah, they all have, a lot of them have patterns. Some will do the same thing every single time. You can just go guess what they're going to do. But a lot of guys like them to spin a certain direction or kick higher or lower. So
Right.
for me, I like the bulls that spin to the left because that's into my riding hand. So those are the bulls I try to pick.
Nice. Does that make it an easier ride for you then, knowing what the bull may do?
I'd say no, because there's sometimes guys will get thinking that's what they're gonna do, and then they're an animal. They'll pull a trick on you, and they'll do something complete opposite. So
Gotcha.
I like to know what they do before, but I don't bank on it. You just gotta go one jump at a time.
Right. Good thing for the rodeo clowns, and I'm sure they help you guys out a lot.
Yeah.
Awesome. I appreciate your time tonight, Dakota. And one last question for you. What's in the future for you? What's going on the rest of the year?
I still got a pretty busy schedule. This is probably the busiest schedule I've ever had rodeo night. I got between 3 to 5 rodeos and PBRs events a weekend, so it don't really slow down now until November for me.
Nice. And then when does it start up again? Just in the springtime?
I haven't seen the schedule yet, but I think probably around January, February, I'll start back up in Canada.
Oh, okay. Right on. Again, Dakota, thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate it. And I'm sorry for the snafu at the beginning.
That's all good.
Have a great night, man. Thank you.
You too.
Okay, thanks. Welcome back, folks. It's us again.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. I'm still Ron.
And I'm still Kevin.
Yes.
And together we are the Ron and Kevin Show.
Right. The Kevin and Ron Show.
Yeah, that sounds good. It's good.
That ring,
trippingly off the tongue. Yes.
Yes.
And I'm going to really just kind of be offbeat here and not even segue properly because we have an interesting topic tonight.
Definitely.
The benefits or pitfalls of a cashless society.
Yes.
How many of you carry cash now? I don't, personally.
I carry cash just in case.
Right.
It's not cash for, I'm going to the grocery store. I now need to make sure I have so many dollars out, or
Right.
I carry it just in case, and I'm not even sure what the just in case is for, because
Well,
the
just in
cash
case
society-
is a name, actually.
You're right, just in case.
See, I told you.
Yeah.
It's like Mike Holder. Anyway, sorry, we're getting off topic
Yes,
here.
yeah.
But cashless society, I mean, if there's a disruption in the electronics or something,
Yeah.
and you've only got your debit card or credit card,
Yeah.
and what if you can't use it?
I mean, and
What happens?
case in point, some time ago, well, the Rogers
Yes,
the
the
programming
snafu there,
glitch.
yes.
and it just sort of threw everybody. I was supposed to be getting something. I had to end up going to pay for something because someone else who was supposed to pay for it wasn't able to use their Interac, and therefore I had to find alternative ways. It was, the cashless society in that case for me was a real inconvenience instead of convenience, which is the cashless society's.
Right. I
big
mean, it's
benefit.
great to say that, we don't carry cash, less holdups, I guess, for your money.
You're right. I haven't had anybody, rip off my wallet. They rip it off for different reasons than the cash
Yes.
that's sitting in your wallet nowadays.
However, I mean, I don't carry cash. Then, although I had an issue too, at a hotel, I couldn't use my debit card, but my credit card was okay.
Okay.
That was weird,
Yeah.
but it happened.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they would get around that yet.
Yeah. I'm not sure that we have 100% fail proof. Of course, using cash in society meant people counterfeited their money, so that was the problem,
Right.
problem
Yeah.
within that. But certainly a cashless society, the other side to it was when I handed someone a $50 bill, they could look at the bill,
Yeah.
say, yeah, it's good. But they didn't know my name.
Right.
They didn't know my address. They didn't know a lot of stuff. Now, with the interchange of the cashless society, it seems that much of that private data comes along with identifying the
yes.
flow.
That little magnetic strip in the back of your card carries a lot more information about you than you realize.
Yeah, or links to, and it
Yes.
just it kind of scares me.
Yes.
Well, not only kind of, it does scare me to think that it's all based in that sort of cashless society.
So, is there anything we can do about that?
I suppose you could go live in the middle of nowhere and not see anybody, and
Just use cash,
yeah, and
use seashells or something or whatever.
yeah. She sells seas by the seashore.
Close enough.
Which actually brings us to the next question: is
Yes.
if you have a cashless society, supposedly that solves the problem of no cash under the table, and
Apparently,
the income
yes.
tax problems and all that sort of
Right,
that go along
right.
with that. I think it does exactly the opposite.
It kind of drives that barter type system underground,
It does.
and it's going to happen more and more.
Yeah, and the barter system will become not so much based on that guaranteed dollar, but based on other services and other type of things, which are, in one sense, easier to come by, easier
Yes.
to verify with friend to friend,
Yes.
and that type of thing. So a cashless society, I don't think, gets rid of that whole under the table bargaining. I think, if anything, it makes that bargaining much more personal.
Yes.
And trust has to be there. And actually, those people that are going under the table trust each other more than sometimes I trust the cashless society.
I would not argue with you.
Okay, then that means we should be done.
Well, maybe.
I think you've missed it here.
Oh,
Okay,
have you got $5 to spare?
Right, I was looking for that. This is just a free for all now. So
Okay.
what else can we say?
No, I think we've got it. Yeah, be worried, yes, a little bit about the information that's stored on your cards.
Yeah.
I still use, because of what happened, I do carry some cash with me now,
Yeah.
just in case.
Yeah, and it is a just in case.
And I'm going to use Justin's name again, so. there you
Okay,
go.
yeah, Justin. Okay.
Justin's, yeah,
I'll
we're
fly
done.
away. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, we're into.
Cashless society, yay or nay? Let us know what you think.
I would love to hear
Yes,
some of your
please.
thoughts on that.
Hi everyone, be sure to grab a free copy of our bi-weekly print issue in over 50 locations across Kinnersley. Also included in our magazine is the free Kinnersley Social Extra, where we publish things like community events for nonprofits and obituaries for free. If you would like to be featured in our magazine or have something advertised, please email hello@kinnersleysocial.ca.